Okay. Shalom, Yabba Shem Shabbat.
Shalom Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Shabakatah.
Okay. Shalom, this is the ICPK, started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, on the commanding Johnny Hannah. The ICPK teach the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are the Israelites that the Bible speaks of. Now, today's class is the Brotherhood Class. We hold classes in the school Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 7 till 9. The address is 394 Lodge Road, postcode B185PW. On Monday, we have the history class taught by Captain 10,000 Parashia. On the Wednesday, we have the law class taught by Officer Damgabar, sometimes taught by Officer Quatazar as well. And on Thursday, we have the scripture breakdown class, which is held down by Officer Karathia. So if you have any questions and scriptures need broken down, bring it to that class. If you can make it to the school, make it to the school. If you can join online, make sure you do so and give us your questions. We also hold classes online on the Tuesday and the Friday. We hold the Brotherhood class, which is today. Again, all these classes are 7 till 9. And on Friday, we also have the Lashwan Kodash, which is the Hebrew. So if you want to learn the Hebrew, make sure you tune into that class. That is taught by Officer 5000 Shamgar. And we also have a radio show, so a vidcast show on Friday as well, which is usually from around 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. And that's hosted by Officers Damgabar and Karathia. Okay, so the topic of today's class is domestic violence and false accusations. It's sort of two sides, which tends to be in our community with the men tend to physically abuse the women. The women either will verbally abuse the men, sometimes physically abuse the men, or abuse them by the way of accusing them falsely. So I came across this article in which a sister had raised a domestic violence claim against the brother, against a boxer that's well known, Javonta Davis, and then later retracted the statement. So it's still kind of up in the air to whether it was a false accusation or whether she retracted it for some other reason. But it just goes to show how damaging an accusation like this can be to a man's reputation, his mental health, is you know, and even if he is physically abusing her, then he should be checked for that also. So I'm gonna go into the article. Let me share that. All right. I'm just gonna read it through because I think it'll be easier.
Right.
So it's a sister's statement is in the title. Is that I made an unnecessary call to police. Boxer Javonta Davis accuser retracts domestic violence claims and now says that the lightweight champ did not harm her or their daughter. So the article goes in that woman identifying herself as the mother of boxer Javonta Davis's child. So this is a baby mother of Javonta Davis, has retracted domestic violence allegations against him following a recent 911 call she made prior to his arrest early this week. So this is a story you've heard many times over where, a sister, there may be some argument and a sister calls the police on the brother and that brother gets carried away and arrested, man. And it may be false or it may be true, but the power that a woman has to, anytime she wants to get back at a man for something or, some little thing, she can just call the police and have that man, get Esau to take this brother away.
Right.
It is important for sisters not to abuse this power at all, man. If you are having any relationship problems or anything that you need counsel on, you come to the ISUPK, man.
That's right.
You don't go to that oppressor to oppress your man. You come to the ISUPK and we'll sort out that problem, man. We'll make sure if there is any physical abuse that stops, that brother gets a check-in and you'll have some safety against physical abuse. And brothers, if you have a rib that's you're having issues with, and you need to take that to counsel, you take that to counsel, man. Don't take it upon yourself to harm the sister. You take that
Right.
to counsel and sort out the issues, man. And these problems will stop happening in our community. So it goes on. So she made a call. Um, I'll read from here. So Davis was arrested on Tuesday in Florida on a misdemeanor domestic violence charge after allegedly striking a woman with a closed hand type slap. Now, where I come from, that they call it a punch, but okay, a closed hand type slap, and leaving her with an abrasion on her lip. According to a Broward County Sheriff's Office incident report, he still faces a misdemeanor domestic violence charge of battery causing bodily harm. Now, again, it's kind of up in the air whether this brother did abuse this sister or whether he didn't. You know, an abrasion on the lip can happen by many things. It could have been an accident. It may not have been, on purpose. But either way, the sister calling the police and then retracting the statement, if she is bearing false witness, there is a judgment for that, man. You
Right.
shouldn't bear false witness against a brother. And a brother, you shouldn't be raising your hand against no sister, man.
That's right.
According to the alleged victim's 911 call, she said in the call, he's going to kill me. I need help, please. I'm trying to go home. I have my baby in the car, and he attacked me in front of the kid, and now he's messing up my tires. So now as well, there are children involved as well. Now,
Mm.
as a father and as a mother, you have a responsibility to care for your child and not abuse your child. And your child seeing this sort of discourse, seeing these arguments or physical abuse against their father and mother, seeing their mother call the police on their father and getting him arrested, these sort of things are harmful to a child, man. A
Right.
child yearns to see his mother and his father, getting along. A child yearns for that example, seeing the love between his father and his mother, man. So all these issues in front of the children as well, you are abusing your child, man. You're causing trauma in your children, man.
Right.
Children are afraid of the dark, man. And you don't think that you arguing, you raising your voice against your man, or a man beating his woman, or a woman beating her man, you don't think that's gonna affect your child.
Mm.
Listen, man, you have a responsibility. All Israelites, you have a responsibility to your children to make sure that things are good, things are tawab in the household, man. And if you need
Right.
counsel, if anything's going on, if you need to sort some issues out, you bring that to counsel and you get that sorted, man. But for the sake of the children, you don't ain't supposed to be arguing or fighting or calling police or doing all these wicked things against each other, man. Right. And here goes where she retracted the statement. So the sister says that Davis is not guilty of domestic violence. These past few days have been hurtful and extremely exhausting for all parties involved. She wrote, I pride myself in being extremely private. This situation was the last thing I wanted to be made public. So sister has made this public and then is saying, I pride myself on being extremely private.
Mhm.
I mean, I recently came out of school, but where I come from, you got to show your work because it's in all the media. This brother is a famous boxer. Is
Right.
throughout
That's right.
all the media. This man has been arrested. It's affected his fight.
Mm.
This how this is unfolded is not private. It's not private in the slightest, man.
Right.
If you have issues with your man, you should if it's what's the word? If it's an
Right.
urgent situation, if you're in danger, you should you should seek the authority. You should make sure that you're in a safe place. But you shouldn't be blasting this man on social media, man. You should
Right.
sort you should sort out this matter privately.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, let's see. She says the state of our relationship has been in a fragile space, and Javonta, the brother, and I are both at fault for the argument. While the emotions were running high, I made an unnecessary call to law enforcement at an intense moment while I was frantic. Javonta did not harm me or our daughter. Again, now this is something you hear the story of, where a brother and sister in an argument, and while emotions are high, the sister will call the police on the brother. He may be attacking, or he may not, but in if he's not, and you're just frantic and you're calling the police on this brother to just get him arrested because your emotions are high, then that is a wicked thing you're doing against that brother, man.
That's right.
That is a very wicked thing you're doing against the brother. Well, our sisters think there's nothing to just lie on a brother's name and get him arrested. They think there's nothing, and then they you see him the next day at the at the jail cell, or the brother's got bail or something. They're paying his bail to get him back out because they just did a foolish thing while they were emotional. Our sisters, you need to control your emotions. You have a lot of power in this kingdom, man. This serpent is wise in his oppression, in that he gives Eve a lot of power.
Right.
You have a lot of power to either destroy. You have in righteousness, you have the power to build your man and make him strong, make him inspired. But in wickedness, you have the power in this kingdom to destroy a man, to destroy his reputation, to destroy his household, to take away his children. That is by design from this wicked serpent, man.
That's right.
So listen, if you're in these high emotional situations, you want to wait. You want to wait until emotions are calmed down before making any sort of decisions like this, man. You don't want to make no emotional decision. The Bible says, be slow to anger. You want to be very careful of the things that you do, things that you say, especially when you're in an emotional state. Because now all this, if it is false, all this media has come out against the brother. It's harmed his reputation. Many people won't see that you've retracted this statement. They won't see you've gone back and said that he didn't harm you or your daughter. Many people will hear the story that he beat you in front of your daughter, or he beat your daughter as well. And then you've done a wicked thing against his brother, man. And she goes on to say, today we have sought the help necessary to move forward with our lives. I am confident that we will succeed within our co-parenting dynamic with the counseling provided to us. And that's what you should have done, man. You should have sought counsel on the situation. If there is physical abuse, if there is anything like that, you should seek counsel, man.
Right.
Seek counsel from the ICPK. You should seek counsel from the place where we loved you, man. We love that brother, and we love the sister as well, man.
Right.
We don't want to see any of you harmed. There's no bias in our decision, man. We will get the full story, and we'll check who we need to check. We'll make sure that you know what y'all need to do, man, to fix the problems.
That's right.
You'll get the full counseling, man, the proper counseling. You don't get no white man or white woman whispering in your ear telling you, oh, did you might have felt this way or felt this type of way, or that's a dangerous environment, man. You need to take that child away from that brother, or do all these wicked things, all the wicked things they whisper in our sisters' ears, man. To take the child and separate from the man, leave the man. Listen, if you've had sex with that man is your husband, man.
That's right.
You should stay with that man. You have a child with that man. That man is the father of your child. It ain't no just upping and leaving and taking the child away, because all these vile, wicked things, this serpent is whispering in your ear, man. Pleasing to your ears. Right. So that's the article. I'll go into the scriptures. If you could get me book of Deuteronomy 28 and verse 47, Baba Kishore.
Is it 28 and 47?
God.
28 and 47. God. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 47. Because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things.
Because we didn't serve the Most High with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things, because we didn't serve him, we didn't follow him, because we didn't appreciate the blessings that he gave us. Go ahead.
Go on, verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies,
For this
which the
reason will we serve our enemies, man. For this reason will we carted on slave ships. For this reason were our native Indian brothers and sisters slaughtered, man, in the Americas.
right.
For this reason, we are scattered all across the world, man, in Haiti and the Caribbean islands, in America. For this reason, we serve our enemies, man. We serve this so-called white man. Go ahead.
Go on. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee.
And the Lord sent these enemies against us. They didn't just all of a sudden, think to rise up. They didn't all of a sudden, just create the gun and now they're just powerful enough. If we had the Most High with our side, ain't no gun, ain't no musket could come against us, man.
Right.
We would beat this white man with a damn slingshot, man.
Right.
The same way David beat Goliath with a slingshot. Goliath had armor and weapons, but the Most High was with David, man.
Right.
The slingshot went right to his temple and took him out. Go ahead.
Go on. The Lord thy God shall send against thee in hunger, in thirst, in nakedness, and in want of all things.
And we serve him in hunger and thirst, in nakedness, in want of all things. If you want to, eat, you got to go to him for welfare checks and food stamps, and you got to go to him for job seekers allowance and all these things, man. We want to eat, we want to drink, we want to survive, we want to live. We have to go to this oppressor. It'll give us a little crumbs, but listen, man, this oppressor is not your friend because he gives you a little child benefit or universal credit or none of that, man.
Right.
This oppressor is not your friend because he's quick to cart your man away to prison because you call him saying he's done this and he's done that. He's not your friend because he does that, man.
That's right.
That he does is to destroy you. We don't see it in this day and age, man. Go ahead.
God. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck.
Go ahead.
Until he have destroyed thee.
And this oppressor put a chain of iron upon our neck until we were destroyed, until our minds were destroyed, until we no longer saw him as the enemy, man. So now our sisters willingly go and call them against their own man, against the men of their own nation, man. Now our sisters willingly go into them to kill their babies and all these wicked things. We go to them to destroy us, man.
Right.
We allow them to put drugs and guns in our neighborhoods and we sell it to each other, man. Because he's destroyed us, man. This oppressor has turned our eyes evil towards one another. He put the old against the young, the women against the men, the light skin against the dark skin. We're fighting our own brothers. A lot of American brothers are fighting the Mexican brothers, man. Right. You got Jews fighting Issachar. You got the war against Mexico and America, man. Because of these things, these devices that the oppressor put in place. Go ahead.
God. Verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the ends of the earth, as swift as an eagle flieth.
And the Most High brought this nation from afar. They are a fierce nation, man. They came from the ends of the earth, and they came swift as an eagle flies, man. They came quick, and they came on them slave ships, and they took millions of our people over to their where they dwelled, man, to enslave us.
Right.
Go ahead.
God. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
And we didn't understand their language, man. We don't understand English or French or Spanish. We didn't understand none of that, man. We spoke Hebrew. But now we know English. Now we know French. Now we know Spanish. Now we know broken English, man. We know patois.
Mm.
Go ahead.
God. Verse 50. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the persons of the old, nor show favor to the young.
And this was a nation of fierce countenance, man. This oppressor, this so-called white man was fierce when he took us on them slave ships, man.
That's right.
If you was running out a bit of water, he will throw you overboard and kill you, man. He would kill our men in front of the women. He would kill the children in front of the women. You'd feed your babies to alligators. It did all these wicked things to our people, man.
Right.
And he didn't regard. He had no mercy on the old, the young, the women. He had no mercy at all, man. We all were oppressed by this oppressor. And now we want to, side with the oppressor against our own people. This is the destruction. This is how he's destroyed our minds, man. You need to come into the ICPK and repair your mind.
That's right.
You don't go to your oppressor against your own people, man. You don't go to your oppressor against a brother or a sister. You don't bear no false witness. You don't abuse nobody. You don't verbally abuse nobody. You don't do none of these wicked things against each other, man. The things that we learn from this oppressor, that we learn to do towards one another. Go
ahead. Right. Verse 51. And
so you could jump to verse 54, but sure.
God, verse 54. Deuteronomy 28 and 54. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eyes shall be evil towards his brother.
So that man that was tender and delicate towards his brother, that man that had brotherhood, that man that loved his wife, loved his brother, loved his people, loved the elders, loved the youngsters, showed him a good example, showed love to his wife, cared for his children. That man is now evil towards his brother, man. That man now sells drugs to his brother or kills a brother over postcode. That man now beats his wife, man, evil towards a wife of his bosom. That man now verbally abuses his wife or beats his wife or treats him like trash, man. Sleeps with him and throws him away. Because of the wickedness that this oppressor did, man. Because of the straightness in the siege. Go ahead.
Go on, towards his brother and towards the wife of his bosom, and towards the remnant of his children, which he shall leave.
And toward the wife of his bosom, man. You have brothers beating their wives. You have brothers verbally abusing their wives, manipulating. You have all these wicked things our brothers do to our sisters, man. Sleeping, tricking them to sleep with them, then just leaving them to the side.
Right.
Listen, man, that is a wicked thing you're doing against a sister, man. If you're doing any of those things, you need to get that spirit off you, man.
That's right.
You shouldn't treat no sister like that, sleeping with her and just and leaving her. You're treating her like the oppressor would treat our women in slavery, man. Where they would force themselves on our women and then treat them like nothing, man. That's an oppressor mindset. And you know oppression. As a black man, you know oppression. So you don't put no oppression on your sister, man. You don't put no further oppression on your brothers, man.
Right.
We need to be taught brotherhood again. We need to once again become tender and delicate towards each other, man. Where you see a black man, you know that you can find some rest, man, some brotherhood, some encouragement. You don't see a brother and don't want to even look at him because you don't know if he's that type of brother that you look at him the wrong way and he's ready to put you to death. Or you see a sister and you can see some brotherhood, man. They'll treat you nice, ain't trying to abuse you, ain't trying to trick you. But these days you have, you got these sisters trying to trap you for a child and take your money for child support. You got these sisters that just go sleep around. They might even give you an STD and not tell you about it. You have sisters that will bear false witness against you, man. When it's time, when they're not getting exactly what they want, they will call the police to have you carted away, man, and then come cry to pay you out the next day.
And Salakia, if I may as well. That's like them calling the 5-0 the police. You get me? Them calling
Yep.
Babylon on their own people. You know what I mean? Them calling the oppressor. Them calling the white man. Them calling the devil on their own. You understand? People on their own husbands, etc. Right? That's just to emasculate the man, so
Right.
that when she does go and bail him out and he comes back, she's over him, man. She's
That's right.
showing him she's the boss. You know what I mean? And then he's got to what? He's got to be like he's the female, and she's the male in the relationship. Because he should just call her daddy again, her superhero, her real superhero again. You
Right.
understand? These women are out of order. You understand? And they need to understand what black love and black life matter is all about.
That's
All
right,
right.
man.
And that's why our people need the ISUPK, need this teaching to come out so they can understand what real life is all about and how to deal with different situations, relationship and otherwise. Man. You know what I mean? Come to the ISUPK and deal with these issues, right? You don't go to the oppressors to resolve our issue. It never gets resolved, and it goes from bad to worse. All right, and we see that every day in our neighborhood, in the black community, which used to be and no longer is, man. And we need to bring it back, man. That's what the ISUPK is here for, man. All right, Salaki.
No sweat. Go ahead.
Okay, verse 55. So that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children, whom he shall eat.
Because we're oppressed, because we're in this oppression, because the white man takes every damn penny that we try to earn, man. Because he won't let off our necks, man. He won't stop pulling us over. He won't stop, stopping us in the streets and searching us. He won't stop these wicked things, this oppression. We have nothing. A lot of our men, we have nothing that we can even give to our children, man.
That's right.
It's a tradition in Israel that you would give your children an inheritance. You have something to pass down to the next generation. But in this day and age, we have nothing to give to our children, man. And that in itself is so emasculating for a man that he has nothing to give towards his children.
Right.
A lot of our brothers, because that's a terrible situation to be in, man. A lot of our brothers can't even handle that, and they'll either just leave the children because they have nothing to give. They don't want to feel like a deadbeat dad, so they feel it in their mind it's better to just leave them, man.
Right.
Listen, you stay with your child. If you have children, you stand by your children, man. You support them
Right.
the way you can. You don't just leave your children, abandon your children. You do whatever you can for your children. It might not be, might not be what you see in the TV, the white man, can give all this stuff towards his children. It might not be that, man. But at least you're there. Your presence alone is worth gold, man. Your presence alone is worth more than any, buying them a car at 17. It's worth more than that, man.
That's
your
right.
guidance, your leadership, your presence. That's worth something.
Right. And Salaki,
Go ahead.
as you mentioned, presents, man, just come to mind, right? Forget about doing Christmas following the slave masters, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And the presents under the Christmas tree, which this big fat man gets, a big fat Caucasian man, all right, they call Santa Claus, gets all the credit for, all right? But the presence is you showing your present, man, you being present, as Officer Alban just said, you being present in your children's lives, man. You being present around your family and your children, you understand, and your wife, etc., man. That's the most important present you can offer a child, their father in their life, man. All right. And for our women as well, man, you let that man be in the children's life. Don't destroy the man's, masculinity, etc. You know what I'm saying? Because then that's gonna chase him away, man. All right. You build that man. You correspond with that man and grow them children up, right, man, and strong in the spirit of the Lord, spirit and admonition of the Most High. So like it.
No, sir. Go ahead.
She shall eat because he has nothing left him in the siege and in the straitness wherewith thine enemies shall distress thee in all thy gates.
Because of this harsh oppression we're in, this is why we do these things to our children, man. This is why our brothers leave them, man. Because they can't get a word in, they can't get a word in sideways with their mother. It's too much stress. The oppressor's stressing them. It's just too much. So they just leave, man. Or they get involved with a sister. He's trying to just drain their resources and use them for child support. Use a white man's system to abuse that man.
Right.
So they just don't want no part of it. They might, they have to give the child support, otherwise they'll go to prison. But because of that wickedness that the woman's done against that man, you don't really, because of that oppression, that further oppression, he sees that child as an oppression to him rather than his own seed, man. So he might not, visit the child. He'll just give him the money and just abandon the child, man. Otherwise, our system needs to stop doing it. Stop falling into the trap of Esau, man. You think that benefits you? It does not benefit you to trap a man and get child support of him, man. Because you're left without a man. You're left without guidance. You're left without structure. That child is left without their father, man. Is left without their guidance and their structure, their role model, where they came from. And any sister that has a brother on child support because they just wanted to trap a man like that, you are abusing that man and you are abusing your child, man. You are utterly selfish. You are completely and utterly selfish if you're doing that, man. Go ahead.
Quran, verse 56. The tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eye shall be evil towards the husband of her bosom, and towards the son, and towards her daughter.
That's what we just brought down, man. That's what we just broke down, man. That woman that used to be tender and delicate, so smooth that she didn't even put her bare foot on the ground. Now you have these women that are vicious in these streets, man. They are vicious in the way they operate. They don't care for the man. They don't care for the child. They're just in it for them. They will abuse the man, abuse the children. They don't care, man. They will call the police on the brother. Because your eye is evil towards your husband, man. It's evil towards your children. Your child seeing that their dad being restrained by this white man, man.
Right.
Seeing their father being emasculated in that way.
So lucky
you don't care about the impact that has on a daughter seeing that happen to her father, or a son seeing that happen to his father, man. Go ahead.
That's right. So lucky too, man. Like, in slavery days when they used to get the biggest, strongest brother, you know what I'm saying, and he emasculate him or sodomize him in front of everybody, either whip him, torture him, hang him, whatever they needed to do. You understand, to show what to put fear in our people. Is the same thing that they're using our sister to do now. They're using our sisters that phone the cops on that brother to emasculate that man, to destroy the fiber of that man's being, man. You understand? Right. So now they don't even need to physically lay hand on us and do all what they used to do, because they've programmed in our people to self-destruct, to destroy one another, fight amongst one another, man. Right? This is why what we read before, I think we're coming to that. No. Deuteronomy 28:48, until thou be destroyed. This is us being destroyed, man. That internal warfare now, what we're doing amongst each other, man. That's us being destroyed from the oppressor, man. That over 400 years plus years of mental programming, man, and physical, you know what I mean? So yeah, they're just trying to destroy, have our women or have each other, have us destroy each other. All right.
All right, go ahead.
57. And towards her young ones that cometh out from between her feet, and towards her children which she shall bear, for she shall eat them for want of all things secretly in the siege.
And because of the siege, this is why our women do these things. Because
That's right.
they're struggling too, man. Our
Mm-hmm.
sisters struggling, and they're just looking for a come up, looking for a way out of this oppression, but they're doing it in a wicked way, man. The same
Right.
way these brothers are looking for a come up and hitting a lick or stealing from a brother and selling drugs.
Mm-hmm.
I get this oppression in a wicked way, and that will not work, man. The
That's
reason
right.
we're in this oppression is because of the wickedness that our forefathers done, man.
Mm,
It's only when we stop doing wickedness that we'll start to come out of this oppression, man.
that's right.
So you calling the police on a brother and seeing, you know, your child is watching that brother getting beat down or tased and restrained and put in the back of a car, all because you want to exert some power over that man and feel good. You feel all high and mighty when you do that against a brother. You get a little trick because of that, or you're doing wickedness against a brother, putting him on child support, to try to trap a brother in that way,
That's right.
to just show some authority over that brother, or you're trying to trap him and do this wickedness over him for just your financial gain.
Mm-hmm.
It's because of this oppression that you're doing these wicked things towards your own people, man. And you need to observe that. You need to see why you're doing these things, why you're doing these wicked things against your own people, your own man, your own child. And you need to fix your mindset, man. You need to understand who your enemy is. Your enemy isn't your child. Your enemy isn't your that man, man.
That's right.
The enemy is your oppressor. That enemy is anything that's against the Most High, man.
Right.
Go ahead. Or was that
Go on.
56?
There's a bit more on 57.
Go ahead.
And she shall eat, for she shall eat them for want of all things secretly in the siege and the straitness wherewith thine enemy shall distress thee in thy gates.
It's because of that strictness and that straightness that the enemy is besieging us in our gates, man.
Right.
That the enemy has us packed in them council houses, so everyone's just looking for a come up and will abuse and step all over each other to get where they so-called need to get to, man.
Right.
If you could get me Proverbs chapter 21 and verse 9, I'm sure. Proverbs 21 verse 9.
Is it 21 and 9? So that.
Come
on. Proverbs chapter 21 and verse 9. It is better to dwell in a corner of the housetop than with a brawling woman in a wide house.
And many of our brothers can relate to this right here, man. Sisters think that only brothers can abuse them. And if you hit a man, you ain't abusing him. He's big and he's strong. He can take it. Or if you're verbally abusing the man, he shouldn't retaliate or anything. He can take it. He's a man. Listen, man, your wicked tongue and the way you raise your hand towards a man is the same abuse if a man did that to you, man.
That's right.
Women can also abuse men, man. Just because you're the weaker vessel, listen, because you're weaker physically, you think it's okay to hit a man. You shouldn't raise your hand towards your husband. So because you're weaker physically, women have developed a sharper tongue, man. Women are more harmful and more cunning in their words, man. The way you can verbally abuse a man to emasculate him and listen, man. A lot of brothers have been through that where if they've been verbally abused by that woman, man, emasculated, and they feel just abused, man. It's trauma that happens, man. You can't even trust another woman after experiencing something like that.
Right.
But you think, what you're doing isn't abuse. Listen, man, what you're doing is abuse also. The Bible says it's better for a man to dwell in the corner of a housetop, to dwell in the corner of a roof or in the attic where there's not enough space. Barely any space, you at least have some peace. than to be in a big house in a mansion with a woman that's balling, man. With a woman that can't stop talking and nagging you and verbally abusing you or physically abusing you even, man.
Right.
It's better to be in a cramped up space, but at least you have some peace and quiet than a woman that can't stop running her mouth, man, or can't stop physically abusing you. Many of our brothers can relate to that, man.
Right.
We have complete sympathy to the sisters that get physically abused. But you have to understand the power that your tongue has also, man. You have to understand that you can't abuse your man either, man. You can't raise no hand against that man. You should honor that man as your leader. You don't raise your hand against that man or talk down on him or verbally abuse him.
Right.
Or call the police on him, man. You can't abuse that man either. Right, if you could get me Exodus 20 and verse 13. This is a law on bearing false witness, man. 20 verse 13.
Exodus chapter 20 verse 13. Thou shalt not kill.
The Bible says you can't kill, man. You can't murder. You can't kill nobody. A brother can't kill, can't murder a brother, a sister, a child. And a sister can't kill a brother, a sister, or a child, man.
Right.
It's a commandment. Go ahead.
God. Verse 14. Thou shalt not commit adultery.
You shouldn't commit adultery, man. A sister who is married should stay with her husband, man.
That's
a brother
right.
should not seek a sister who's married to another man. You find
right,
your own wife. You leave that sister alone, man. Go ahead.
God. Verse 15. Thou shalt not steal.
You shouldn't steal. You shouldn't steal from nobody. You should take what they have. Listen, you build your own stuff. You don't take from nobody. Ill-gotten gains. Listen, you reap what you sow, man. If you steal, you'll get stole from, man. If you live in that lifestyle, you think you're just gonna, you're stealing from other people. No one's gonna steal from you. Goes around, comes around, man.
That's right.
Go ahead.
God, verse 16. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor.
And you should not bear no false witness against your neighbor, man. You shouldn't say that a brother's doing something that he's not, man. You shouldn't say that a sister's doing something that she's not. You shouldn't bear any false witness against your neighbor, against your people, against any Black, Hispanic, or Native Indian. You shouldn't bear no false witness, man. You could get me Proverbs 25 verse 18.
So, okay, shall we read through this 17?
No, that's too up. The point I'm getting at is bearing false witness.
Okay, that's right. What do you say again, Salaki?
Proverbs 25 verse 18.
24. Okay. Come on, Proverbs chapter 25, verse 18. A man that beareth false witness against his neighbor is a maul.
That's right, man. A man that bears any false witness against his neighbor, or a sister that bears any false witness against her neighbor, is a maul, man. And a maul is a vicious attack. If you hear, you've been attacked by a bear, they've been mauled by a bear or mauled by a mountain lion. You've been viciously attacked. You've been beaten and bruised and mangled.
Right.
When you bear false witness against a brother, it is a maul. It's a vicious attack. It is a rough and violent attack that you're doing against that brother or sister you're bearing false witness against, man. But you don't think that it's nothing. You think you can get away with it because it's like, go ahead.
No. It's just saying a club. So yeah, you use a club, a baton, right? Or a club. So beating, yeah. Lucky.
Card, yeah, it's beating and bruising and mangling to deal roughly with someone. It's an attack against that person. But a lot of our sisters, because they can just bear false witness and nothing happens to them because of this court system, this wicked court system. They can bear false witness as much as they want, and when that person gets found not guilty, it's nothing happens. Everyone, just goes home. If that person is found guilty, whether they're guilty or not, their whole life is ruined.
Right.
If found not guilty, their life is ruined because their reputation's ruined, man. But because nothing happens to those sisters that bear false witness, they think it's nothing. It is a vicious attack against someone. You are beating and bruising them when you bear false witness against a brother or sister, man.
That's right.
Go ahead.
God is again Salakia. A man that beareth false witness against his neighbor is a maul, and a sword, and a sharp arrow.
And it's a sword, and it's a sharp arrow, man. It's cutting, it's damaging to that brother and sister to bear false witness.
That's right.
So you get me, Deuteronomy 19, verse 15, Baruch Shah. This is a judgment for bearing false witness, man. This is how the priest would deal with anybody that bears false witness against a brother or sister. Deuteronomy 19 and verse 15.
Deuteronomy chapter 19, verse 15. One witness shall not rise up against a man for any iniquity.
And this is justice, man. One witness can't rise up against any man, any woman. You can't just go yourself and testify by yourself and accuse a man or woman of anything, man.
Right.
Because you need two or three witnesses so that every word can be established. It can be a straight story. It's not just your word against his, man. Or your word against hers. You need two or more witnesses, man. Go ahead.
And Salakia, it's like, yeah, I'm seeing it's like, like when a man has an ox, and if his ox guards somebody, but was not known to push in time past, so he wasn't warned, you know what I mean, and then he's not to be held accountable. But if his ox was to be gorged in time past, and he's known, now that man's liable, right? So, like, if you bear false witness against someone, you've got to have someone that knows about that the issue, right?
Correct. You gotta have someone
Yeah,
that
that's
has witnessed something, witnessed some. If you're saying this brother's committed violence against you, and no one knows him to be violent, no one knows him to do anything like that.
Right.
That ain't no straight story. Conflicting evidence, man. But if you have people that have seen, seen bruises, seen loud arguments, you have people that are witnesses to these sort of things, then you have a case, man. You can't just go accuse anybody of anything with no evidence. But you can in this wicked system, you can in this wicked kingdom, you can accuse any brother or any sister of anything, man.
Right.
If they can't prove that they're, a lot of brothers get thrown in jail for something they didn't do because they couldn't prove their innocence.
Right, that's right.
The other person should be able to prove that you're guilty, man. But this wicked system ain't built that way for blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, man.
That's right.
It's built to throw you in prison over the littlest thing. Over things that aren't even true. But if you can't prove that it's not true,
right.
Just cut you off. Go ahead.
God, or for any sin. In any sin that he sinneth at the mouth of two witnesses, or at the mouth of three witnesses, shall the matter be established.
In the mouth of at least two or three witnesses shall the matter be established. That's when you have a case. That's when you have something to start.
Right.
You can't just go ahead and accuse a man of this, accuse a man of that. You can't just say this or that against a man or a woman. You can't destroy a brother's reputation. You can't destroy a sister's reputation. You can't say a sister did this or that without a witness, man.
That's right.
Because if she didn't do that and you've caused a judgment against her, that's a wicked thing you've done against her sister, man.
Right.
You're destroying her reputation. So in the eyes of two or three witnesses, will that matter be established? Go ahead.
Go on, verse 16. If a false witness rise up against any man to testify against him that which is wrong.
And if a false witness rises up and is lying in the court, lying to the judges, saying that this man did this when he didn't do it, man. Saying that this man beat his woman, but he never laid a hand upon her, man. Go ahead.
Go on, verse 17. Then both the man or the men between whom the controversy is shall stand before the Lord, before Yahweh, before the
Mhm.
priests, and before the judges, which shall be in those days.
And you bring that to council, and everyone gets heard out. You establish every word, and you figure out who's lying and who's not, man. You got conflicting
Right.
stories. Somebody is lying, man. Somebody is bearing false witness. Go ahead.
Go on, verse 18. And the judges shall make diligent inquisition, and behold, if the witness be a false witness, and has testified falsely against his brother, verse 19, then shall you do unto him as he had thought to have done unto his brother.
Then anyone
So,
that's found bearing false witness, the judgment for that sin, say a brother's been beating his woman, the judgment for that sin, it would have been on that brother. If he's found innocent and you're bearing false witness, that judgment will be upon you, man.
that's
You'll
right.
get that punishment.
Mm,
Say, for example, a man bears false witness against a woman saying she's committed adultery, but she hasn't committed adultery. The sin for adultery, the judgment for adultery is to be put to death, man. If you're bearing false witness, if you're found bearing false witness, you'll be put to death, man.
right.
You could have killed that sister for something she didn't do. If
Mm,
you're bearing false witness against a brother, you could have killed that brother for something that he didn't do, man. And that
that's
also
right.
is something that happened many times, man.
Mm-hmm.
Where a sister called the police on a man over something he didn't do, and that man gets shot, that man gets suffocated,
Mm-hmm.
that man dies, man, by the hands of our oppressor, by the hands of that sister, that wicked sister that bore false witness against her, man, against him, Slakia.
Right. Mm.
Go ahead.
God. So shalt thou put the evil away from among you.
And when that false accuser gets punished for that wicked thing they've done against that brother or sister, that's when you're putting that evil away, man. When they
Right.
die for the sin that they falsely accused the brother or sister for, that's how you put away that sin, man.
Mm.
So that people around see that and they know not to bear no false witness. You don't bear false witness against your people, man. It's a
That's
maul against that brother. It's a sword and a sharp arrow. It is damaging to that brother or sister, to their reputation, to their mental health, to their physical health. It's damaging, man. You'll have people that you know, say a sister accuses a man of abusing her, and she'll either go to the authorities, go to the police, or go to their father, or go to their brothers. That man can get beat up, man, or even killed over something he didn't do, man.
God.
That sister should be put to death for the potential harm that could have been done to that brother, man. Go ahead.
God. Verse 20. And those which remain shall hear and fear, and
Mm-hmm.
shall henceforth commit no more any such evil among you.
And anybody that hears about that or sees that, they're fearing, man. They say,
That's
damn,
right.
that's what happens if I lie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing that. No, sir.
God.
That's when that evil's put away, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only because this oppressive system that he allows our sisters to get away with just falsely accusing and nothing happens to them. Only because that they have the power to just falsely accuse and get away with it. Nothing happens to them, man. That's why it's
That's
so
right.
common. That's why it keeps happening, man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's by design.
God. That's right.
Because if he was a just man and someone has been found falsely accusing, they should suffer some punishment, man. They should be punished for that. It's a wicked
Mm-hmm.
thing, man, to lie against someone's name like that. If you're rich, you can maybe make a defamation case, but a lot of our brothers ain't rich like that, man. They ain't got that money like that. So
That's right.
nothing happens, man. They ain't got the money to pay legal fees. So they just got to deal with their reputation being destroyed and all sorts of things, man. People hearing the story and wanting to go and harm the brother, hearing the story and sending him, death threats and things like that. But that false accuser should be judged, and everybody should see. It should be publicly judged.
Right.
Everybody should see. I'm not to bear no false witness against any brother, any sister, any of your people, man. Go ahead.
Khan, so from among you, verse 21. And thine eyes shall not pity, but life shall go for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, and foot for foot.
And you shouldn't pity that false accuser that gets put to death, man. You shouldn't pity that sister that gets punished for lying against her man. Even though she might be pretty, she might be bad. Listen, she did a wicked thing against her brother, against the brother of our people, man. She should be punished for that, man. And don't pity her. Don't feel no sympathy for her, because she didn't feel no sympathy for that man that could have been killed, man. So when she gets put to death, listen, that's on her hand, man. Life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. That harm that could have been done to that brother, that should be done unto you, man. But if you get me, let's see, Proverbs chapter 18 and verse 6, but make sure.
It's like 18 and 6.
Come on.
Proverbs chapter 18 and verse 6. A fool's lips enter into contention, and his mouth calleth for strokes.
A fool's lips enters into contention, man. A fool is always arguing with somebody. Is always getting into fights. Is always trying to, emasculate. Always just nagging a man, and a fool does these things, man. A fool can't control their tongue.
Right.
A fool is always trying to strive and argue. A fool is bearing false witness, doing all these wicked things, man. Go ahead.
God, verse 7. A fool's mouth is his destruction, and his lips are the snares of his soul.
A fool's mouth is their destruction, man. A brother or sister that can't control her mouth, that mouth will be your destruction, man. If you're a brother always getting into contention, eventually the day is gonna come. Well, that comes back to bite you, man. You got all these rappers talking this and that on the internet, and then the time comes round where you get someone comes to check you for that, man. You want to live with your life. Or sister is always verbally abusing the man and nagging the man, and then they come, that man can't take it no more, man. And that brother might hit you if he's not in the truth. If he's not strong enough to curb that desire to stop you from talking, then you might listen, man. That mouth is your destruction if you can't control it. Go ahead.
Okay. 18. Sorry. What was that? Verse 8. The words of a talebearer are as wounds, and they go down into the innermost parts of the belly.
And the words of a talebearer, the words of someone that spread rumors or spreads lies against someone, that is a wound, man. And those words go off to wound other people, man. Again, wounding their reputation, their physical, their life may be at jeopardy, their mental health. It's a wound, man. It can go down to the innermost parts of the belly, man. It's a wound that cuts deep, man.
Right.
If you could jump to verse 21.
Yeah, and verse 21. Death and life are in the power of the tongue.
The Bible says that death and life are in the power of the tongue, man. Brothers, there is power in that tongue, man. There's power in the words that you choose to say. Sisters, there is power in the words that you fix your tongue to make, man. That you fix your tongue to say. There's power in that. And you can choose that to be positive power, or you can choose that to be negative and destructive, man.
Right.
But if you choose that to be negative and destructive, you read in verse 8, man, or in verse 7, slack here. A fool's mouth is his destruction. If you're using your words and your mouth, your tongue to be destructive, that destruction will come back onto you, man. Whereas if you use the tongue to uplift your people and bless your people, then you'll receive upliftment and blessings, man. But that's the power in the tongue. It ain't no, just because a lot of our sisters think because they're physically weaker, they can't say nothing or do nothing to a man that can that might warrant him, beating her. And there isn't, man. They're right. But listen, man, not all brothers or all sisters are that strong, man. Not all brothers are in this truth where they'll take it to counsel rather than just beating you up, man.
Right.
So you should watch your tongue anyway. Listen, don't bear no false witness. These are all wicked things that you do against people, man. Don't use your mouth to constantly cause them strife, man. Cause them just distressing a person, man. That person deserves punishment, man. Because you're abusing other people. Eventually, you're gonna get abused, man. Whether it be you get verbally abused back or you get physically abused. But you worked for that, man. It's not right that a brother raises a hand against a woman, but if you're working for that, listen. The same way if a brother's, on the streets gang banging and causing problems with everybody, he's working towards him getting put to death, man.
Right.
So you need to be aware of that. You need to be aware of the power of your tongue, man. Death and life is in the power of the tongue. You could cause death to people. You could cause death to yourself, or you can cause life to people. You could cause life to yourself. If you could get me Mark chapter 12 and verse 29.
Mark
12 and verse 29.
God. Mark chapter 12, verse 29. And Yahushua answered him, the first of all the commandments is, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 30. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind.
So the Yahushua said, our king said, the first commandment, one of the greatest commandment is that there is one God. There is only one Most High, man. There is no other God but the Most High. We are to serve him with all our strength, all our mind, all our soul, man. That is the first and greatest commandment of all. Go ahead.
God, and Salaki, who is talking to you as well. You understand? Hear, O Israel, man. And this is blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians today, man. We need to hear this, man.
Right.
This is for our people. That was it. Okay, yeah. Mind. And with all thy strength. This is the first commandment. God, verse 31. The second is like, namely, this.
And the second commandment, the second greatest commandment is like, is similar, is similar in power, similar in strength.
Right.
To the first commandment, that there's only one God and you're to serve him with all your strength, your mind, your soul, your body. The second commandment is just as important as that, man.
Right.
Go ahead.
God. The second is namely this. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
The second commandment is that you should love your neighbor as yourself, man. Right. You love that brother as you love yourself, man. You love that sister as you love yourself. You love that child as you love yourself. You won't wish no harm upon yourself. So you don't wish no harm upon a brother, man. Any brother that has a wife, listen, she may be nagging you, but you love her as you love yourself. You wouldn't want nobody to physically harm you, so you don't physically harm that sister, man. Or you want no one, you wouldn't want no one to physically harm your mother, your sister, your daughter. You wouldn't want nobody to treat her any type of way and sleep with her and throw her to the side. So you don't do these wicked things towards a sister, man. You don't abuse your sister.
Right.
If you have any issues with your wife, your rib, you seek counsel, man. You sort out those problems. That's how you show that you love her as much as you love yourself, man. Because if you had any problems, you'd want it sorted, man. You want to fix the problem. You can't fix nothing with just violence and abuse. You fix that problem, man. Your sister, you love that brother as you love yourself. You want no one. You wouldn't want no one calling the police on you and them gripping you up, dashing you to the ground, tasing you, choking you out, putting their knee on your neck. So why would you do that towards a brother, man? Why would you do that towards a brother? You wouldn't want, you know, a gang of man coming to go beat you up. So why are you calling your father and your brother saying this man did this man did that to cause out on that brother, man?
Right.
If you have any problems, you seek counsel, you get that problem sorted out. You don't wish no harm upon a brother, man. Go ahead.
Go on. And as you mentioned, like, you know, many people coming to beat him up, like his you know, her brother or father and all that, cousins, etc. It's the same again if he's thrown in jail. If he does get jail time, guess what, man? They're gonna know him in the prison as a he beat his wife or whatever.
Right.
They're gonna beat him up, man. They're gonna, you know, attack him in there. He could even lose his life, man. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's right, man. And in prison, the people that get treated worst are like child molesters and domestic violence, people that commit domestic violence.
Right.
I know that women and children are some of the most important, some of the most precious people, man. The men of the war, men deal with the brunt of the war, man. Women and children are to be protected. So if you're committed, you're accusing a man of beating a woman, that's a very, very serious crime, man.
Right.
Everybody looks at that serious. You don't look at it the same as when a man beats up another man. They should. That's a brother still.
That's right.
They should look at it the same. But so, listen, it's human. It's just human nature that we protect our women more, man.
Right.
That brother's gonna get more abuse, more slap. His reputation could be ruined to beyond repair if you know, if he can't fight back. That brother's reputation is ruined beyond repair. He has a bit of money, you know, maybe he can get some legal work. You know, speak out, man. If he has influence, more people will hear it. But a brother that ain't got that is just his whole reputation's ruined, man. He can't even go home. His whole family sees him as this, sees him as a abuser. His friends, where he works, he might get fired. Life when you bear false witness against him. Go ahead.
I was gonna say something. I was waiting for you to finish the left here as well. I remember now. Go on. All right, no sweat. Yeah, verse 31. And the second is like, namely this: thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. There is none other commandment greater than these.
And there is no other commandment greater than these two, man. All the other laws fall under these two. If you love your brother, you won't kill a brother, man. If you love your brother, you won't bear no false witness.
Right.
You won't harm a sister. If you love your neighbors, you love yourself. Right. If you could get me, let's see, Colossians chapter 3 and verse 18, Babak Shah. If you love, you know, if a sister loves herself, she'll love a brother as she loves herself. She'll love a child as she loves herself. She wouldn't want any trauma or any abuse to come to either of them, man. But she'll conduct herself accordingly. And listen, man, we all have problems. We all have issues that we need sorting out. You take that to account. You don't abuse the. Sorry, go ahead.
Right. Colossians, what is it again?
3 and verse 18.
3:18. Okay.
You take your problem to the priests and prophets and the Most High so they can sort the issue out, man.
Right.
They can check whoever needs to be checked. They can give you the counsel on how you can how you can stop your anger, how sisters can stop running their mouth and verbally abusing their man, so we can fix our nation, man. Go ahead and slack it, and that's love. That's brotherhood. That's one of the most strongest. Fixing the issues between a brother and a sister, or the brother and another brother, or a sister and another sister. Fixing those issues is what's going to build our nation, man. It's what's going to bring us back together. That is brotherhood 101, man. If you have a problem with a brother or you have a problem with a sister, you go to he and them alone, thee and him alone. You talk to them, explain their fault. If they don't hear you, you bring that to council. And so in the presence of 2 or more witnesses, everywhere can be established, and that could be sorted out, man. But fixing those problems is the foundation to building our nation, man. Brotherhood is the foundation for Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians getting out of this oppression, man. No longer being shut down by the police. No longer selling drugs to one another. Brotherhood and keeping the laws. That's the foundation, man. Go ahead.
Right. Go on, 18, Slacky, what was it? 3 and 18, right?
18.
Got it, yeah. Colossians 3:18. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as it is fit in the Lord.
The Bible commands wives to submit themselves unto their husband, man. You find a man, you like him, and you lie with him, you submit yourself to that man. You've given yourself unto that man. You are now under his authority, man. It ain't for you to run your mouth and not take no correction and verbally abuse him, try to emasculate him and assert authority over him. You've given yourself to that man. So you submit yourself to that man.
That's right.
As it is fit with the Lord, as it is fit with the power, man. With our King Yahushua, as it is fit with our Creator, man. As it is fit with the Most High. That's the design he put, man. The structure he put was himself, the Most High, Yahushua, our King, the men, husbands, the wives, and then the children, man. That's the order that he set. But you want to use Esau's system to try and, bump your rank up. You're trying to get some rank over a man now.
Right.
Listen, man, that don't bring you no happiness. Yeah, you might feel good that, oh yeah, I can just call the police and get him locked up, man. But when the night time comes and you're lonely in that bed, you're crying, man.
Right.
You're gonna go try bail him out, say I'm sorry after you've caused all this mess because you're emotional. Listen, man, you're not happy when you try and assert authority over a man.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the way the Most High designed it. That's not how you're built to be. That's not how the man is built to be. The man ain't built to be under you.
Right.
Go ahead.
Go on, verse 19. Husbands, love your wives and be not bitter against them.
And husbands are commanded to love their wives and to not be bitter against them. Right. Not to treat them bad, man. Not to physically abuse them. Husbands are commanded also to love your wives. You deal with your wife wisely. You deal with your wife as according to knowledge. And we'll get that in the next scripture. You deal with your wife accordingly, man.
And Slakia.
Go ahead.
That's what I was gonna say about the weaker vessel before in the back in the other thingy. And deal with, as you said, deal with your wives as also as the weaker vessel, meaning she's not physically strong as strong as you know what I mean? That's really it. But yeah, she's not physically strong as you, so you got to kind of bear with them as well.
Right.
You know what I mean? In those manners as well, yeah.
Right. And you might not be able to, you might not you can't check a sister the same way you check a brother because they're the weaker vessel.
Right.
But they still need checking, man. They still need correction. But you deal with them wisely. You check them. Why do you check them? Because you love them, man.
That's right.
And what the scripture is saying, it's like it says, husbands, love your wives and be not bitter. You're just because you're the husband and you have authority, that wife's supposed to submit yourself unto you. You're not to abuse that power that you have. You're not to abuse the power that she's given you. To care for your wife. treat her nice, treat her well, man. Don't abuse her. Don't be bitter towards her. You show her love, man. You deal with her according to as the weaker vessel. All right, if you could get me First Peter chapter 3, verse 5.
What 3 and 5?
First Peter 3, verse 5.
3 and 5. Okay.
You deal with that sister according to knowledge. Sisters, the Bible says to submit yourselves unto your husband, man. Don't run your mouth and try to nag him and try to get him to do what you want. Submit yourself unto him. You follow his program, man. You pick a good man that you can agree with, that you respect, and you submit yourself unto him, man. And when you do so, when you're in your femininity, you can be happy. That's where you find happiness. You're not happy when you're having to nag this man and do all this. You're not happy when you do that, man. If you don't respect a man, you shouldn't be lying with this man. If you can't submit yourself unto a man because you don't respect him, or he's not this and he's not that, then you shouldn't lie with him, man.
Right.
Sisters have the power. They choose who they lie with, man.
Right.
So it's like, go ahead.
Yeah, it's like you shouldn't lie with them in the first place.
That's right.
But once you lied with them, that's that's your husband now, man. It's like, yeah.
Ain't no buyer's regret. You can't just sleep with the man and say, "Oh no, I didn't know this or I didn't know that." You take your time getting to know that man. Make sure he's someone you can respect. Make sure he's someone that you can submit to, man. You can give him authority over you, so that when you lie with that man, you submit yourself unto him and you're with him for life, man.
Right.
Because there ain't no happiness in just going around and lying with the next man, this man, the next man. That is a sin against the Most High. You're committing adultery against your husband, man.
That's right.
A sin punishable by death. That's a serious crime against the Most High and against that man. So you be very selective and very serious. Be very intentional in who you lie with, man. Go ahead.
God. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 5. For after this manner, in the old time, the holy women also, who trusted in God, adorn themselves, being in subjection unto their own husbands.
And this is the manner that the women in old time, the women that trusted God, they adorned themselves. This is how they adorn themselves, in being in subjection to their husband, man. Right. They adorn themselves in being feminine and being submissive. That was how they operate. That's how they adorn themselves. That's how they carry themselves. So if you want to claim you're holy, you adorn in yourself in the same way that the holy women in the past adorned themselves. The women that trusted in God, the women that understood the order that he set out. Are you operating within that order? If not, then you ain't no wise woman, man. You don't love the Most High if you ain't operating within that order.
Right.
Go ahead.
God, verse 6. Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord.
And in the same way, Sarah obeyed Abraham. Sarah was a righteous woman and she obeyed. She was in subjection to Abraham, her husband, man. She called him Lord. She called him Adawan. She called him Master.
Right.
She was submissive towards Abraham. And that was a beautiful thing, man.
That's right.
And Abraham loved her, man. Abraham didn't treat her bad. Abraham didn't, beat her or manipulate her or do this or do that. Nah, man. Abraham respected her and treated her wisely as unto the weaker vessel. And that union, when a man has authority and is dealing with righteousness, and when a woman is submissive and trusting the Most High and trusting that man and dealing with him in righteousness, that union is beautiful, man.
That's right.
That's more precious than that's more precious than a nice car or a Chanel bag. It's more precious than the Birkin, man.
Right.
The Bible says that a woman that, Proverbs 31, her price is far above rubies.
That's right.
That type of woman is when you see that, it just brings a smile to your face, man. Any brother, any sister seeing a woman who truly respects and is submissive to her husband, seeing how that man loves and cherishes her, man. Brings a smile to anyone's face. But our
Yeah.
sisters have too much ego, too much pride. They see too much power in the way that the white man in the power that the white man gives them. They see
Mm-hmm.
they see too much value in that in whatever monetary gain they can get from that, or whatever fake authority they can get from the white man system. That they don't see the beauty, they don't see the value in being a submissive woman, man. And
Right.
being a woman like Sarah, who called Abraham, who called her husband Lord, man, called her
Right.
husband out of one. She said, "Khan out of one, Khan, man." They don't see the value in that no more, and
Mm-hmm.
they're just living unhappy lives, man. Yeah, they might look flashy on the internet, flossing this, flossing that, showing their body, showing whatever car they're driving, this and that, but they ain't happy, man.
Right.
They ain't at peace. They don't have a good man that can guide them.
Right.
They're a good man that can support them in their problems, man.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Khan obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well, and are not afraid with any amazement.
And you're Sarah's daughters, man. You're the granddaughters of Sarah, man. As
That's
long as
right.
you do well. If you
Mm-hmm.
do well, then you're worthy of being called the daughter of Sarah. You're
Right.
worthy of being called the daughter of Zion, man.
Right.
You're a righteous and beautiful sister, man. When you operate the same way Sarah operated, when you operate the same way that these women in the Bible operated, man. If you're not afraid with any amazement, if you're not afraid or confused with any amazement, man, if you don't
Mm.
see how a woman can call the police on a man and get him just locked up for nothing, and you're not amazed by that, you're not confused by that, you don't abuse that power, man. If you don't cause those things to make you afraid or make you confused, that you're gonna use those to abuse your own people, to sin against the
Mm.
Most High, to not show no love towards your neighbor. When you reject those things, you follow the Most High. That's when you're a daughter of Sarah, man. That's when you do
That's
well
it.
in the sight of the Most High.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
God, verse 7. Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel.
And in the same way, the husbands, the men of Israel, need to dwell with your wives according to knowledge, according to wisdom. You need to
Mm.
understand how women operate. You need to understand how women are, so you can deal with her according to knowledge, man.
Right.
So you don't cause her to you don't cause no emotional harm unto her that is unnecessary. You don't do things that are unnecessarily going to cause problems.
Mm.
You deal with her according to knowledge as a weaker vessel, man. She can't control her emotions the same way you can. So you deal with her according to that knowledge. You still need to check her, but you deal with her according to that knowledge.
Right.
Go ahead.
God. And as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered.
And you deal with your wife with the understanding that you are both heirs. The men and the women of Israel, you are both heirs to the kingdom of heaven, man. You are both
Right.
heirs together of the grace of life. You're both
Mm.
heirs to these laws, statutes, and commandments that were handed to our nation, man.
That's right.
We are both going to inherit the kingdom of heaven. We are both sons and daughters of the Most High. You deal with your wife according to that knowledge.
God.
That your prayers don't be hindered, man.
Right. Salakia, if I may as well.
Go
Like
ahead.
we came into slavery and shackles and chains together as well, man. It was
That's right.
the oppressors chained up the women, the men, and the women, and the children, man.
That's
So
right.
how do we come out of this oppression? We coming out of this oppression together. You understand? It ain't just gonna be the Lord ain't just gonna deliver blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indian males, man. But the Lord is going to deliver Black, Hispanics, and Native Indians, men, women, and children, man.
That's right.
That's what the Lord's going to do, man. So as we came into slavery together, we're leaving out of slavery together when the Lord comes and delivers us, man.
Mm-hmm.
God.
That's right. Go ahead.
Where was I? Salakia.
Verse 7.
Eight.
No, verse 8.
Seven. Where is it, Salakia? Where am I at?
Verse
8.
8. Verse 8.
God. Verse 8. Finally, be ye all of one mind, having compassion one of another.
We're supposed
Love.
to be of one mind.
God.
We're supposed to be on one accord, man. You can't get that when a woman's trying to fight or was trying to fight against a man or have some authority over him.
Right.
You can't have no one accord when you got two people trying to fight for authority. That's why it's commanded for the wives to be in subjection to their husband, man. So you can be of one accord and one mind as the Most High wants it to be, man. As Christ wants it to be, as Christ ordered it to be. We're all supposed to be of one mind. We're all supposed to be of the same mind that Christ had, man.
God.
Not fighting each other over petty squabbles, petty issues. Authority is given to the people that they need it, man. Just like you have ranking in the school, man. You have the generals, you have the captains, you have the officers and the troopers. The authority that way. So we're all on one accord, man. You don't have no trooper trying to assert no authority over an officer. You don't have an officer trying to squabble with the generals over something, man.
Right.
Authority is how things are kept in order. It's how we're all on one accord. That's why there's one West, man.
That's right.
Ain't no other West, man. Ain't two Wests, ain't three Wests. There's one West.
God, ain't Kanye West, man.
Ain't one Kanye West. I'm right.
That's right.
There's one West, man. Starting from 125th Street, Harlem, New York.
On the commanding general. That's right.
Go ahead.
God, I'll read it again. Verse 8 again. Finally, be all of one mind, having compassion one of another, love as brethren, be pitiful, be courteous.
And you have compassion. You love as your brothers, man. You love your brothers. You love your sisters. You love as if you're a close family, man.
That's right.
You're pitiful and you're courteous. You're kind and compassionate to brothers and sisters, man. If you have compassion, you're not going to bear no false witness. If you have compassion, you're not going to commit no domestic violence, man.
Right.
This is how we're to operate. Go ahead.
God, verse 9. Not rendering evil for evil or railing for railing, but contrariwise blessings, knowing that ye are therefore knowing that ye are thereunto called, that ye should inherit a blessing.
Right. We're not supposed to render evil for evil or rendering for rendering, railing for railing, Slakia. Yeah. It's not supposed to be where, say a woman verbally abuses her man, so the man verbally abuses her back or physically abuses her back, then she calls the authorities, have that man physically abused, and then it's just a cycle that continues. You're not supposed to render evil for evil or railing for railing. If there's railing, if there's arguments, you're not supposed to sort of just argue back and just cause more evil to spiral. You bring that problem to council, you get that sorted, so ain't no evil for evil. You deal with that. You deal with that evil with righteousness. You bring that to council. You deal with any railing, any arguments. You deal with that woman nagging you always on your back. You deal with that with righteousness. You tell her fault. Between you both alone. If she don't hear you, you bring that to council. You get that problem sorted, man.
Right.
But you don't just yell at her back and physically, verbally abuse her back if she's verbally abusing you, man. That's not how it's supposed to be. And we do that knowing that we're called to receive blessings.
Right.
We're given these law, statutes, commandments so that when we follow them, we receive blessings. We're not called to receive headache and arguments and the police being called on us and our reputation being ruined. We're not called for these things.
Mm-hmm.
We're called to receive blessing. We're called to receive the kingdom of heaven, man.
That's
We
right.
serve the Most High. So you deal with each other according to that knowledge. Right. If you could get me hold First Peter, and if you could get me First Corinthians chapter 7 verse 3.
First Corinthians chapter 7 and verse 3. Let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband.
So the husband is to render unto the wife due benevolence. You're meant to be benevolent and be kind. You're meant to do your husbandly duties, man.
Right.
And the wife, likewise, you're meant to deal with your husband with benevolence. Deal with him according to wisdom, according to the wisdom of the Most High. Submit yourself unto him, man. Give him the respect that he deserves, man. And you do your wifely duties, man. You take care of your husband. He'll take care of you, man. Go ahead.
God. Verse 4. The what? Benevolence, yeah, like Chilakia. Let me read it again. Verse 3. Let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. Right. Verse 4. The wife has not power over her own body,
Right.
but the husband.
The wife doesn't have power over her body. It's not just when you lay down with a man, you become husband and wife. You know, you're no longer two separate people. You are now one.
Right.
So your body ain't just your body no more. You belong to that man.
God.
Go ahead.
The wife has not power over her husband, over her own body, but the husband, and likewise also the husband has not power of his own body, but the wife.
And in that same way, that wife, the husband ain't just his body as well, man. He's not just a separate entity that can do whatever he wants and not care about the wife and all that. You belong to the wife also, man.
That's right.
You are both one entity now. You can't, just abandon your duties and have no regard to your wife. And a wife can't abandon her duties and have no regard to her husband, man. Or you can't defraud one another. You can't, withhold things. You can't withhold sex, or you can't withhold what you're supposed to do, man.
That's right.
Because your body ain't just your body no more. That woman belongs to that man. That man belongs to that woman, man. They're one entity. Go ahead.
Verse 5. Defraud ye not one another, except it be with consent for a time.
And you're not supposed to defraud one another. You're not supposed to withhold sex towards it from one another. You can't just say, "Oh, I don't feel like it," or listen, man. Sex is a part of marriage. You can't just stop doing, a part of marriage because you feel like it. Except it be with consent for a time. There might be a time where a brother just might want to abstain for a while. Maybe it's fasting. Maybe he's just praying and meditating. He just wants to cool off for a while. Or a sister might want to be abstinent for a while. But you can't do that unless it's with consent and for a time. It can't be forever. There'll be a time when you'll reconcile. You'll get back together and you'll, not defrauding one another, man. Getting back at it. We got to raise up a nation, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, it's up on those. I'm saying.
That's right. That's right.
You feel me? Go ahead.
Except it be with consent for a time, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, that Satan tempts you not for your incontinency. Right.
So, you're supposed to, if you're you need to abstain from sex for a time because you're praying or you're fasting. You do that for a time with consent, and you come together again, man. That Satan don't tempt you for your for lack of self-control, lack of
self-control.
restraint.
Okay.
If a sister, if a man is what's the word? If a man wants to, not have sex for a time, but he doesn't give a time, or he just doesn't have, it's just no longer having sex with the sister, then that sister, listen, man, she needs husbandly duties.
That's right.
Because she might not.
To cut in, needs that due benevolence, man.
She needs that due benevolence. I'm right, man. She needs to feel loved and appreciated.
Right.
You can't just defraud that sister and not give her a time. She might not have the self-control to go that to just not have it. So he might cause that sister commit adultery, man. Or sister might cause that brother to commit sexual sin, man.
Right.
To either just go out and sleep with a whore, or sleep with another man's wife, or
right.
You might cause a brother to there's some situations where a sister just refuses her husband due benevolence, and he might force himself upon her. Because you're not communicating. This isn't an agreement. This isn't with consent. You belong to your husband, and husband, you belong to your wife, man. You can't just stop doing your due benevolence.
Right.
You gotta communicate that. And that's love towards that brother, love towards that sister, man. That it's not forever, it's for a time, and you come back together. Go ahead.
And so, there's two things I was gonna say something before, but I can't remember that now because this just popped into my head. Yeah, like you said, it might, because she's not giving a time or whatever, and she's withholding it. That you said he might force himself upon her, etc. Right, and all that stuff there. That is what we read before, lack of self-control, right? So, and in the UPK we're taught self-control, man, because you do have some sisters which that is a wicked a thing to do, is to withhold from a man without telling him or giving him a time, right?
That's right.
Then it goes into being evil, man. It goes into if he's got no self-control, control himself, he might force himself upon you, etc., or go somewhere else and be a whoremonger and so on and so forth. All right. So you're supposed to give a time. You understand? And we don't condone no one forcing themselves up on any sister, man. All right. A woman ain't giving you none, you just leave that sister alone, man. You go and get yourself another wife. You understand? Simple as that. All right. And if you do it, if you're getting yourself another wife, you come into the ICPK where you do it right. You understand? So you don't fall in traps like diseases and so on, man. Because there's all kind of disease out here in this world as well. Everybody just giving it up, right? So yeah.
And some of these domestic violence cases, that's where it stems from, where a sister just decides to no longer sleep with the brother, and the brother need sexual frustration that builds up over time, man. And he's still giving him lip, and then listen, man, he's got no release to, cool him down. So then that brother loses self-control, and lips get busted, man. You can't just withhold your wifely duties or your husbandly duties without consent and without it being for a time. You communicate that.
That's right.
Is that verse? Where were we at? 1 Corinthians. Is that verse 5?
That was 5 done, yeah.
If you could go back to First Peter chapter 3. Actually, if you could get me. Yeah, First Peter chapter 3 and verse 1, but I'm sure.
Come. First Peter's. Let's see. Okay, one. Is there anything in the text? Anything in the text? Any questions?
Any questions? Nah.
Okay.
No, I'm kind of on calm. No, there's no questions.
All right. So, no sweat. All right. First Peter chapter 3 and 1. Likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives.
The Bible says that wives is to submit themselves to their husband, man.
Right.
So there might be a brother that doesn't believe, but he sees how the women in the ISUPK treat their man. That they listen to him, man. They don't argue with his man and giving him lip all the time. They see something in that. There's value in that. So by that alone, by seeing that alone, you might bring them towards the truth, man.
That's right.
Bring them towards the classes. They might start wearing all black just because they see you not arguing with your man, not calling police on your man, not just disobeying him and doing your own thing. You're submissive. You follow his order, man. You follow his instruction.
Right.
You follow his authority. A brother can see that, and that in itself might cause him to go in all black, man.
That's right.
You can see that, and she might, she wants that for herself, man. She wants a man that she can submit to in that way that you submit to. She sees the beauty and the value in that. She'll come into the school, man. The way you operate can either deter people or bring people in, man.
Right.
That's how important it is for you to submit yourself into your husband. So the school's on one accord, man. There's order, there's unity. Go ahead.
God. The wise. Verse 2. While they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear.
And they're beholding your chaste conversation. They're holding that your conversation is pure. You're not chatting your man. You're not chatting your man's business. You're not being a talebearer, gossiping on your man. You're not bearing false witness. You're not telling lies and just gossip and rumors. They're holding your chaste conversation. Your conversation ain't about how many men you slept with and hot girl summer and the city girls. Your conversation is chaste and is pure.
Right.
It's coupled with fear. Coupled with the fear of the Most High, coupled with fear and respect. You respect you respect someone because you fear them. They have authority, so fear comes with respect. So you have respect for the Most High. You have respect for your husband. And you see that conversation, and that will encourage them to join the school, man.
Right.
That will get a brother in all black. Go ahead.
And verse 3. Whose adorning let it not be that outward adorning of the plaiting of the hair,
Go ahead.
and of wearing of gold, or putting on of apparel.
Who's adorning? Adorning means the things you wear. Who's adorning? The things you can see on your outwards. It's what you wear. It's how you conduct yourself. So he says, let it not only be that outwardly adorning, where you're plaiting your hair, you look pretty, your hair's braided, you're wearing nice jewelry, you're wearing nice clothes, nice apparel. Don't let it only be that. Don't let you just be a good-looking sister, but you got no substance. You have no character. You can't submit to a man. You can't follow a man's lead. You're always chatting your mouth. You're pretty, but you're always chatting your mouth, or you're sleeping around, you're being a whore. You have no substance. You have no value, man.
Right.
Don't be an empty vessel. Don't be just pretty on the outside, but there's nothing inside, man. Go ahead.
Verse 4. Let it be the hidden man of the heart, in that God, in that which is not corruptible.
But let it be the hidden man of the heart. Let what you're adorning is be something that's, you can't just see it. Having a being wise and submitting to your husband and having some substance, that's not something that you can just see on the outside. It's a hidden. It's a hidden thing. In and that spirit, the spirit of a Proverbs 31 woman, that's not corruptible.
Right.
That don't fade. It looks fade, but that spirit, that don't fade. It's hidden. It takes a while to see. You need to get to know a sister to see this spirit. You can't just see it by looking at her. But that's that spirit that she has, that beautiful spirit and that wisdom that she has, how she submits to her husband, how she loves the Most High. That's not corruptible, man. That don't fade with looks. That jewelry don't tarnish, man. Those clothes don't grow old from wear and tear, man. That spirit is priceless, and it don't corrupt. It don't rust. It don't fade. Go ahead.
God. Chilakia. And it's not seen by your beautiful hairstyle and your nice dress and your earrings and your change. It's not seen in that way, but it's seen through your actions of how you are towards your husband, and you know what I mean? How
That's
you
right.
are. We go to school, how you are in the school, man. Sisters in ICPK, what they cook for the brothers. We got camp, etc. All right. They cook for their husbands and so on and so forth, and they look after their children. All those things. That's how you know,
Right.
right? Not right. That's right, man. Actions, right? Our ways, as they say, as the scripture says, right?
And that's definitely not to say, sisters can't look good. Sisters can't have the nice braided hair. Boy, sir.
Is
Listen,
it?
that's beautiful. You can be beautiful on the inside and on the outside.
And that's
But
right.
the inside is the most important. You got to fix yourself on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
But if your inside and your outside is both beautiful, then listen, man,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna get yourself a good husband. I tell you that.
God, Proverbs 31, man, for real.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
You can look good. You can have the nice jewelry. You can smell nice. You can wear nice clothes.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta have it. You gotta have your mind right. There are many beautiful and attractive sisters, but their price ain't far above rubies, man. They ain't the daughters of Sarah. They ain't conducting themselves how Sarah would conduct herself.
That's right.
The way they operate ain't pleasing to the Lord. It ain't pleasing to no man. It's pleasing to the eyes, but listen, man.
Mm-hmm.
It might be that pretty woman that's a brawling woman that caused the man to be in that corner of the house, man, corner of the rooftop.
Right. Mm.
She looked pretty, but listen, man, that mouth don't stop.
Right.
She looked pretty, but her
Yeah.
mindset is snares and it's traps and got you on
Mm.
child support and call the police on you every other day and
Mm.
verbally abusing you. You can't just be pretty on the outside, man.
That's
Go ahead.
right. God, even the ornaments of a meek and quiet spirit.
And you're meant to adorn yourself the way you're meant to what you're meant to adorn yourself with, what's hidden within your heart and it's not corruptible, is the ornament. That ornament is a meek and a quiet spirit. You're
That's right.
humble. You're quiet. You're not running your mouth every second. You're not arguing with your man. You're not calling police on him. You're not arguing with him, trying to assert authority over him. It's a meek, it's a humble, a kind, and a quiet spirit, man. Go ahead.
God, which is in the sight, Salakia, yeah, which is in the sight of God a great price.
Which in the sight of God and in the sight of the men of God is a
Mm.
great price to have
Right.
a meek, quiet spirit. It is greater than any fashion, any whatever fashion brand, Balenciaga and Gucci. It's greater than that. It's greater than gold. It's greater than whatever jewelry you could wear. You could wear so much jewelry that you damn weigh a ton, man. But a quiet and meek spirit is worth more than that. It's a great price to the Most High, and a great price to the men that follow the Most High, man.
Right.
Go ahead.
God, verse 5. For after this manner.
It's like that's it on that. It's going back into after that manner, that's how the women of old conducted themselves. And that's how women are to be, man. That's how our sisters are to be. That is a great price. That is a beautiful spirit, man. Let's see. We've got about one more for time's sake. Can you get me Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 22?
Yeah. Yeah. Want to say 5:22, right?
Come
Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands.
And there it goes again.
As
Throughout this whole book, it says, wives, submit yourselves unto your husbands. It's not no light thing. It's not nothing to be taken for granted, man.
right.
This is a commandment according to the Most High. Submit yourselves unto your husband, man. You find a good husband, when you lie with him, you stay with that man for life, man. And you submit yourself unto him.
That's right.
And that's where you find happiness and peace, man. You don't find no happiness and no peace in this white man's kingdom. You don't find that in abusing whatever power he gives you.
Right.
Absolute power corrupts absolutely, man. That serpent, it's the same serpent that was whispering in the ears of Eve, man. Destroyed the whole thing, man. Ruined the thing that they had, man. Adam and Eve had. They had blessings and blessings and blessings. A land that was plentiful. They had the laws. But that serpent whispered in Eve's ear and told her that she can call police on her man over nothing, man, and get him arrested if he don't, if you don't wash the dishes, you can go ahead and call the police on that man. And say, just say he abused you and that man's getting arrested. That's the whispering. That's a subtle lies and deception that this serpent does, says towards our women, man. All throughout the Bible, it says, wives, submit yourselves to your husbands. Go ahead.
God. Verse 22. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord. Verse 23. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church.
Right. And you submit yourself unto your man the same way you submit yourself unto the Most High.
Right.
You give that man the same respect you give the Most High, man. And the Most High commanded you to do that. And the reason is because the husband is the head of the wife. This is the order. Even in the same way as the Christ is the head of the church, the Christ is the head of the school. We all follow Christ, and the sisters, they follow the brothers, man. You follow your husband or you follow your camp leader. So we're all on one accord. Go ahead.
God. And he is the savior of the body.
And Christ is the savior of the body. Christ is the savior of our nation. He died so that we can live. He died so that we can come back to the truth. And we can receive the kingdom of heaven, man. Go ahead.
God. Verse 24. Therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything.
So therefore, in the same way that the school is subject unto Christ, we follow Christ's teaching. We do as Christ commands. Everything we do is according to this book. Everything we do, everything we say, the way we conduct ourselves according to this book, man. We are under Christ. In that same way, you are supposed to be subject unto your husband in everything, man. You don't pick and choose when you're submissive. You ain't submissive when you want to be. You ain't submissive when it suits you. You submit to your husband in everything, man.
That's right.
If you want to, if you want to have a discussion on something, you can have a discussion. But that's your husband's decision, man. He might choose to give you authority over certain things, Say you decorate a house and he ain't really. Maybe you're an interior decorator, you're a designer, and he ain't really fussed about it. So he might give you authority, but that's his decision.
Right.
You submit to your husband in everything, man. The same way we receive an order from the generals or the captains, we follow that order. We say Khan the one Khan, and we follow that order, man. In everything. Go ahead.
Khan. Where was I again? So lucky. 25, verse 25. Husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it.
And the husbands are to love their wives, man, in the same way that Christ loved the church, in the same way that Christ loves all Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians that are in the ISUPK, man.
That's right.
He died. He gave himself for us, man. And that's what these sisters want. These sisters want a man that will protect them, that will die to protect them, die to protect their honor and their life. You don't get that by being, you don't get that by nagging the man. You're gonna nag the man and abuse him until he wants to die for you. You submitting to that man. You be meek and you be quiet and you give blessing to that man. You make that man's life better, and in doing so, that man will want to give his life for you, man. That man will be willing to die for you. That man will protect your honor with every fiber of his being. When you're submissive, when you're something that's worth protecting, you're something of great value that's worth protecting, that's worth dying for.
That's right.
You ain't just a bro that's giving him headache and nagging him every 2 seconds. He can't have a moment of peace. He's on that roof trying to get away from you. How's he gonna protect you and die for you? He's on that roof, man. Someone breaks in, you're in the house, he's on the roof trying to get away from you, man. You want him right there with you, man. Right there beside you. When you have that quiet and that meek spirit, he's gonna be right there beside you, man. Ready to die for you. And with that, that concludes the class. Do you have the announcements or La'a?
La'a.
I'm gonna hand it over to Priest and Officer 500 to Zarpwan to close out with the salute.
Okay. All right, men of Israel, Amadim Shabbat, Amadim, Barak, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakatah,
Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakatah,
Yadamata, class dismissed.
Sorry, Christ.
That's well put together, class. Well done, man. All right.
Wow,
yeah. Shalom. Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakatham to the brothers. Yahweh Shema Allah Tanba Hashem Yahushua to the sisters. Shalom. Also. All right.
It's like
it's on in it. It's on, yeah.